I actually wanted to build a headlight bracket, but then something really bad happened.
The plan for today is to work on 2 brackets. I have this Bates style headlight, which looks like this, and it has a bottom mount. What we need to do is to figure out how we can mount this lamp with some kind of bracket that wraps around the forks. How do we continue now? We have to draw like some connection from this side to the middle piece to that side. We need to offset this. Oh, nice. If that works, that would be great. No, it doesn't.
This is the first time that I'm building something of such a complexity, and I got stuck at a point where I didn't know how to connect 2 planes of this 3D sketch. So I called it a day, but whenever I'm faced with a problem like this that is solvable, but also not quite in my realm of skills, I can't stop thinking about it and I have to fix it. So after dinner, I continued building the bracket. I've just designed something that looks like this. I didn't record it because this looks terrible. So I managed to finish a first prototype. It didn't look pretty. The project was a mess. It didn't have any structure, but I never really learned that. And I just wanted to finish the sketch. So I went all over the place until I was done, so that I could print it and just see if it would fit. So even with the updated version, the problem still remains the same. Cura still thinks that this is too big. So after overcoming the problems with the print size and the slicer program, I started the print and went straight to bed. But that night I had a weird feeling about the print. I was kind of excited, but also nervous that it would go wrong because I just left. And the next morning when I went to check how the print went, I found this.
Well, that did not work. I have messed up. I guess I might have ruined my 3D printer on the last prototype. I knew this would happen sooner or later, but I didn't want it to be that bad. Ah, shit. Oh my god. Wait a sec, what's that? That is like rubbery. That's not actually from the print. I guess that's a part of the 3D printer. And that is supposed to be inside. All of this is solid plastic and it sits in every corner.
Well, so here's what I think went wrong. I've made a few mistakes in this project, but the main one was that I was rushed and didn't take the time to double check and make sure that I would get things right. But if we look a bit closer at this mess, we can trace it back to 3 things that went wrong. The first thing is that I've used a new laptop, and while it's great that I can work now in the shed, Fusion 360 and the slicing software Cura didn't really communicate properly. Normally on the PC you export the file from Fusion 360 into Cura and it gets sliced. On the MacBook that didn't work, so I had to use my old laptop, but that didn't have Cura. I installed it. Anyways, long story short, I didn't actually remember that you would have to access a special menu to insert all the settings into Cura. So I thought this was a new version of Cura with a streamlined interface, and I left it at all the basic settings, which is a big mistake when printing stuff, because you have to be very meticulous of the temperature, the speed, all of those things. I was like, yeah, if they take it out, they must know what they're doing. But that was the first big mistake.
I don't know if I'll ever be able to recover this. I guess I have to sacrifice this whole body. Almost loose. Nice. This is the hot end, so I'm gonna replace this. And since we're gonna print other filaments like PETG in the future, some of them require higher temperatures. I'm gonna upgrade this one and go with a all metal version that can handle higher temperatures.
Second mistake was that in my rush of getting the project out, I messed up the orientation. One side has more surface area, that's the one with the 2 rings for the fork. This is a very fundamental but basic thing that I normally always check, but I forgot this time, so I placed the part in a way on the build plate that it would only have a very small contact area, which kind of makes it hard for the first layer to stick to the bed.
Look at what just arrived. This is a new hot end from Creality. I actually went with the original one because I did some research and an upgrade to a full metal one would come with certain downsides. The printer would be more prone to clogging, which is actually what just happened. And now we just have to see how we can get rid of all of this and install the new one. Whenever you do things like this, and also whenever you work on your bike, make sure to take a lot of pictures. So this is the part of the wiring loom that is important for us. and the other two are here. Right, all of this has to go back through here now. All right, now that that is all installed, we can reinstall this sled that runs across the X-axis. Well, the hot end is installed now. The cables are still a bit messy. I now have to find a way to mount these fans so that I can actually print something without this overheating. So let's see what I can find. All right, I quickly had to go inside and grab this because this arrived today. That's a 1mm thick aluminum plate. And I got quite a few plates of aluminum, different thicknesses, but that's for another project. But I guess this is actually quite perfect for building a little bracket. That's the very elaborate plan. The bracket is finished, everything fits. I hope that also works. Let's plug it in. Nice, it's at 200 degrees, it stays at 200 degrees. That means that the fans work. But there are a few more things that I have to take care of. For one, I need to see if I can actually rejuvenate this PEI Creality spring steel plate. But I've seen a very promising tutorial on how to do that. I'm gonna link it down below in case you have the same problem. Same as setting up the printer again, leveling the bed, everything like that. If you ever run into the same problem or want to set up a new printer, I've put together a collection of other tutorials that have helped me do that. I'm gonna link it down below as well. It's on my blog. And then lastly, and this is probably my biggest mistake, which would have prevented all of this mess, I just wanted to get the print done. I don't know if you have a 3D printer, but normally you would heat up the printer and wait until it's ready so you could start the print. That night, I didn't do that. I just plugged in the SD card and started the print while the printer was cold. Then it takes a while and I didn't want to wait, so I just went to bed. Which probably isn't a good thing with a print that takes 14 hours. Well, I guess the moral of the story is take your time and check whether your print is actually starting well. But I hope this video has a second moral to it. Mess ups will happen. That's completely normal when you attempt so many new things like you have to do when building a custom bike. But what's important is that you don't get discouraged by failure. See it as a learning opportunity and keep going. And if you want to see a 3D printing success story for a change, watch this video next. Or watch this one if you want to see when and how to get help so you don't end up in a situation like this. As always, thank you very much for watching and I see you in the next one.